What types of disruption do you see happening or anticipate in the near future in the areas of Canadian private equity and pension?
I know, the truth, I wish I could predict the future. That would make our lives easier. Maybe it's the conservative in me. I do have anxiety. I do have worry. I do feel like there's a lot of stimulus in the economy that are keeping things moving. Interest rates are still very low. Capital is still plentiful. Transaction values are still pretty high. And I worry that that's going to come to an end. And if it's more sudden than people anticipate, that's when you tend to have pressure and tension. There's also, record government deficits that'll have to get paid for, and I have anxiety that the mechanism by which the government will deal with that are increased taxes, particularly taxes on capital. We keep hearing rumors about, we'll increase the tax rate on capital gains. Well, the rumors about taxes on wealth and the accumulation of capital, all of those things are not helpful to the private capital community. They stymie innovation. They stymie investment and growth. And so I worry about those kinds of things. Yeah, call me the conservative. I worry about the future.
Yeah, and I there's sentiments of that I'd agree with. With what Jocelyn has highlighted for all those reasons. I think there is some concern. I think also for us, there's a tremendous amount of capital out there for investment at low interest rates. We're seeing that activity really translate itself out right now. I think you're also, some of the things that we probably will see is you're also seeing a number of organizations, experiencing what I would say temporary savings associated with the pandemic and not having to fund a number of things that they would traditionally have to fund from an operational perspective. And so I think one of the disruptions that we'll see is that, I think the sophisticated ones will take those temporary savings and invest them in their businesses through, advancing the technology initiative, or what I would say the modernization of their businesses in order to get, operational efficiencies. And I think for our industry in general, we're starting to see all sorts of unique, we're seeing unique trends. One, naturally, the impact of ESG in investing is a really big topic, and we are talking to our clients in terms of what that means in terms of their investment profiles and how they address that in terms of their investment decisions. We're seeing, in private equity, the increased, focus on specialization and modernization or sophistication. And then I'm sure, Jocelyn can easily talk about the fact that we're seeing lots of SPACs out there, and SPACs are the new thing that we're hearing out in terms of people trying to take their private companies and move them into a public vehicle. And so I think we're seeing that as well. But one of the biggest things we're probably seeing is just the rise, and this is in the Canadian environment particularly, is the rise of family offices and the impact of family offices in the private equity industry. And that's really coming from a number of families realizing a liquidity event through the divestiture of their business, and now having, a sufficient amount of capital to, allocate to a number of asset classes, including private equity, and then that just being a more competitive private equity environment. Joss, I didn't know if there's anything you wanted to add about SPACs, because I know you're getting calls every day on SPACs these days, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's often the hot thing, and right now SPACs is definitely it. Actually, any IPOs too, people are contemplating. A SPAC really is a faster way to a listing than through a traditional IPO. But with the markets being the way that they are, even IPOs are on the table for some of the larger businesses.